Hi, Madeline Lowry, Certified MAP Method Practitioner. We are going to talk about more frequently asked questions about the MAP method. And these will include, how do we use MAP to address physical symptoms? Are there risks to MAP sessions? What is the science behind the MAP method? And how can I learn more about the MAP method? So for the first question, how do we use MAP to address physical symptoms? This is one of the hardest concepts for people to grasp. So just be patient with yourself if it's not immediately clear. Particularly in Western cultures, we tend to view the mind and the body as separate. Eastern cultures are much more comfortable, it is much more part of their tradition to have the idea of the integration between mind and body. Still in Western cultures, even though we talk about the mind-body now, there is still this disconnect, right? Here's my mind and here's my body. So how will advanced neural retraining that works with my brain affect physical symptoms that I'm experiencing in my body? So there's really about 3 ways that we use the MAP method to address the physical patterns, or what we call symptoms, right? The first is that we seek to reduce the stress response. So there's more and more research. I think more and more people are becoming aware of this relationship between the stress response, or what we call the fight or flight response, which is actually fight, flight, or freeze, and physical health, right? So we now know that being stuck in a stress response, being that person that is sympathetic dominant, is not conducive to a good state of health. But what we haven't fully understood yet is that there can be experiences, we call them trauma experiences, but we are talking about painful emotional experiences that can happen at any point in life that can change the way our nervous system works. That can change the way our brain works. The limbic system of the brain, which is the danger sensing system of the brain, can become hypervigilant or hyperactive, hyper-responsive, right, to stimuli in the world. And when it is, it can call for the stress response way too often, right? So it's almost like the threshold that we have for going into a stress response is diminished somehow because of these traumatic experiences from the past, which somehow, you can think of them as having informed our subconscious mind that the world is a really dangerous place. So with the person who is stuck in that sympathetic mode of the autonomic nervous system, we can resolve some of these traumatic experiences from the past by resolving the painful emotions around those experiences, and shift the person from sympathetic to parasympathetic, right? The body was not designed to live in that fight or flight response. And in fact, none of the restorative functions of the body can happen when you are in that stress response for too much of the time. By shifting a person into being in the parasympathetic, or what we call the rest, digest, and heal response for more of each day, we create a space for healing to happen, right? The body wants to heal itself. The body knows how to heal itself. And by creating that opening, by being in the parasympathetic mode of the autonomic nervous system more of the time, those restorative functions of the body can come back online, right? Digestion is improved. Nutrient uptake is improved. Motility is improved. Neurotransmitter production is improved. There's less cortisol in the system. The blood sugar isn't being called for all the time, right? Emergency, that's what mobilizes blood sugar. Hormone levels are more balanced, right? So all of these things just start to come back into homeostasis. The second way that we work with MAP for physical improvement of physical symptoms is by resolving stuck emotions and traumas that have become somaticized. Right, so I talked about that a little bit already. So when we have those painful emotional experiences, sometimes we don't have the resources, particularly as children, we don't have the resources to be able to handle that. And the body-mind seems to do this protective thing where it kind of freezes that moment and it preserves it, holds it somewhere in the body. And so with the MAP method, we can actually start to work with some of these stuck emotions, some of these unresolved traumas, and start to release them. We can also use the MAP method to change subconscious patterns or programming on an emotional, mental, or physical level. Now, remember that the subconscious mind runs the body. It always has. The conscious thinking mind is only about 5 to 10% of all brain activity, right? This is well established now. The subconscious mind is 90 to 95% of all brain activity. And the subconscious mind is tasked with running all the systems of the body. And when your health was good, it was thanks to the subconscious mind that was carefully monitoring, coordinating, and optimizing all the systems in the body as needed. But when this starts to break down and health is less than optimal, right? We never stop and think, now what is going on in the subconscious mind that it's not able to do its job as well as it used to, right? So the MAP method is also, by changing these subconscious patterns or programs. Remember, the subconscious mind is a habit mind. It is a pattern mind. It's not a thinking mind. That's the conscious mind. The subconscious mind is a habit mind, a pattern mind. And as we start to break those patterns down, we start to see resolution on the emotional, the mental, and the physical level. Now, for people who want to work on physical symptoms with MAP sessions, please understand that as the physical patterns start to break down, there may be some ebb and flow, right? It's not like before your 5th session, the symptom was there, and then after, it's gone. It's not like that. It's more of a process. You will start to notice maybe the intensity decrease for maybe a few days, but then it goes back to the level it was at before. And people start to worry, wait, does this mean the MAP method didn't work? No, it just means we're not done yet, right? Remember, by the time something becomes a physical pattern in your body, there are multiple root causes. In a given session, maybe we get to 2 or 3 roots, but we didn't get to 10, so it just means we need to do a few more sessions. So just be prepared for that. The fact that you notice a change after a session tells you that the symptom, that the pattern is malleable and that it can be affected on the level of the subconscious mind. So we work on it again in another session, and you may notice a reduction further, or maybe that relief lasts for more days. And these improvements may continue to be noted until the pattern breaks down altogether. But sometimes, as I said, there's ebb and flow. So it's not like a perfect linear resolution. There's a little uptick. There can be little upticks or down, downticks and upticks, but the overall trend is towards improvement and finally resolution. There can also be new triggers, so be aware of that too. So for some people who feel like, oh my gosh, I finally resolved that issue, but then something happened and it came back. Why? And I say, well, what happened that week? And when we start to think about what was going on in your life, we may find that there is a trigger that came up for you that we need to work with. So just keep that in mind, right? When it comes to more complex patterns, it is a process, and you need to be patient with the process. It doesn't take forever. It takes a handful of sessions, but it takes what it takes. Now, for the people who are concerned, are there risks to MAP sessions? Let me just emphasize that in a session, the practitioner provides instructions, just like this. I'm talking to you over a Zoom video conference. You are hearing every word I say. The practitioner is providing instructions. Your subconscious mind is in charge, right? Your subconscious mind is rewiring itself. Your subconscious mind is doing as much as is safe for you in that session. Your subconscious mind is the gatekeeper, and it does the rewiring that is required, that is necessary for that subject, for that session. So there is no rewiring against your will or in opposition to your goals for a session. So please understand that, right? The practitioner cannot force anything. It's not like that. Some people are concerned about, what if there's a trauma I don't remember and that needs to be treated? Will some trauma memories arise that I didn't know about? And generally I would say no. People find these sessions very relaxing and meditative, and the subconscious mind treats many memories without any conscious knowledge of you in a session, right? So, tens or hundreds of memories may be neutralized in the 5 or 6 minute period as I'm giving instructions, and most people don't have a sensation of that, right? It is the rare person who tells me, oh, I almost experience it like there's like this Rolodex that my subconscious mind is going through, and it's like, oh, and here's something, and it's going back through the years, and oh, here's something, and no, that's a very rare person that has that kind of experience with MAP sessions. And even when they have that experience, like they're kind of seeing their mind flip back through the years, almost like a calendar being turned back, they don't see every memory that's being neutralized. So no, I don't think that that's something you need to be concerned about. The superconscious mind or your subconscious mind will neutralize what needs to be neutralized, and usually in a very gentle, painless way. If you don't know about it, you don't need to know about it, it won't show it to you. Occasionally things will pop into your mind. People will be like, oh, I haven't thought about that in years. And it's because it's connecting some dots for you, right? So, that kind of thing can happen and does happen in sessions, but generally not like surprise, like this thing I have no memory of has just popped up and now, it's traumatized me again. No, it's not the experience. When we do MAP sessions, however, I do want to mention in a small percentage, of clients, it seems like stirring the pot on the emotions can temporarily worsen a physical symptom or even create a new physical symptom. So I will mention that it is quite uncommon, however, but it just seems like, as we start to work on the emotional level, sometimes things can, be triggered. Now, let's talk about the science behind the MAP method. There's a lot to say here. What I will point you to some resources, right? Because I think that by going to my website, mindremapforhealth.com, and watching the first 2 videos, you'll have a much better sense of the science behind the MAP method. The first video on that page talks about the window reconsolidation. This is a scientific finding discovered by the neuroscientist Karim Nader. He's at McGill University. Published this paper in the year 2000, which showed that long-term memories could be changed. So for 100 years, we thought long-term memories could not be altered, and he found that they could be. And this validates exactly what we are seeing with the MAP method, where we're asking the subconscious mind to recall a memory, identify, recall the memory, separate the painful emotions from the memory, and resave the memory with neutral to positive emotions, and to do so for all associated memories. So watch that video. The second video on that page shows a QEEG study. So we have a client with electrodes on their head for the study. There's a neuroscientist overseeing the study, and you get his analysis of what happened at the end. But essentially, this is a video clip of a practitioner giving instructions to a client, and you see the brainwave activity that is kicked off as a result of these instructions. So watch those. I think those are really helpful. In terms of, answering the question, how does it work that you can talk to my subconscious mind and these changes happen, right? Sometimes amazing changes will happen, either in a session or as a result of a session. I will point you to resources to learn more about quantum physics. So when we say that the MAP method is a quantum leap over EMDR and tapping, those are not, that is not a frivolous selection of words, right? Not a frivolous choice of words. What you have to understand is that we live in 2 realities, okay? We have the reality that we are most familiar with, which is above the atomic level, where we are all physical matter. We're biochemical, physical, right? And most modalities, conventional medicine, most of the alternative modalities are focused on trying to address things through the physical, right? Surgery or physical therapy or acupressure or acupuncture, through the physical, through the biochemical, medication, supplements, right? But there is another reality, which is below the atomic level, right? Everything we see is made of atoms, as are we. And below the atomic level, we exist in another reality where we are energy and information, patterns of energy and information. Now, this may sound way out there. And for the person who's like, I don't know what she's talking about, I don't know anything about quantum physics, and I don't care to know, that's fine, right? Look, we use smartphones and laptops and iPads, right? We use all kinds of wonderful devices on a daily basis, and most of us cannot explain anything about the computer programming or the packets of data or the internet, right, that is required to run those things. And it's the same with this. You don't need to know anything about quantum physics. But for the person who is interested in understanding how this could possibly work and how it could be so different from other modalities, I refer you to resources to learn more about the quantum level, because I do think that the MAP method is a quantum level modality. So I recommend listening to Lynn McTaggart's podcast, Living the New Science, because it is a very engaging way to learn about the principles of quantum physics, the zero-point field, the principle of entanglement, and so forth. If you find that intriguing, so I do recommend starting with episode 1 and listening to at least the first 6 episodes. If you find that intriguing, you might want to read her book called The Field. And then that has other resources in there and papers and things that you can spend years learning. But that will give you a nice entree. Now, how can I learn more about the MAP method, about Mind Remap for Health? Please visit my webpage. I do have a lot of videos on the mindremapforhealth.com page. You can also listen to my podcast. There's a link for it in the menu bar. The last, it used to be all about nutrition. Trained as a nutritional therapy practitioner originally. So the first 30 episodes are about nutrition, but starting around episode 30, all the episodes are about neural retraining and the MAP method. And I have, some very interesting interviews there with practitioners and with my own clients who talk about their own experiences with the MAP method and why they recommend it to others. My Facebook group, so Mind Remap for Health. It's a private group. You can request to join. We are having an ongoing discussion about the MAP method and how it is used to address health issues. And then you could also visit the mapcoachinginstitute.com. So the MAP Coaching Institute is, they are the creators of the MAP method, and they teach the method in the Institute. They also have their own programs. And finally, if you still have questions that I have not addressed, you can sign up for a 15-minute consultation by phone by just going to book an appointment on my website and finding a time that works for you. Thanks for listening.